Good morning and welcome back to our class today. Today we'll be doing about the methods of cooking and the different methods we have of cooking. And we'll start with the introduction. And I'm just so sure um, part of the reasons we cook is to make the food palatable. By palatable, it just means the food is edible. We are able to eat the food because some foods are not, they're not, um, maybe they are too tough when we eat them raw. Some are not healthy to eat raw. Some cannot be. They are not edible when they are not being cooked. And some of the ways we cook is by moist heat and dry heat. By moist heat, we simply mean when you're using liquids such as water, stock, and milk. And by dry heat, we mean grilling. For example, nyama choma. When you're cooking nyama choma, you do not need any water. Some of the ways we cook food is we use different sources. We have gases, we have stoves, we have makaa. Here in Kenya, charcoal. We also use firewood. We use electricity. So there are a number of them. And some of the methods that we use for cooking food are described in the section below. So we have boiling, we have poaching, we have steaming, we have stewing, we have braising, we have baking, we have roasting, we have tandoori, we have grilling and frying. And I know some of these names sound very difficult, but you have interacted with these methods in one way or another. And that's part of the reason we're in class so that we're able to learn and, get new things and try them out. So let's start with the simple one, boiling. This is the method of cooking food in which food is immersed in a liquid and cooked at 100 degrees. So this is we boil eggs, we boil beans, the githeri, the cereals. We boil all of them just to make them palatable, and it's one of the most commonly ways that is used in the commercial cookery because it is very easy. It saves time because you don't have to be there. It is one of the ways that we use not only commercially but even at home. We use boiling quite a lot. So one of the advantages of boiling is older, tougher, cheaper joints of meat and poultry can be made palatable. I had already mentioned this. It is appropriate for large scale cookery and is economic in terms of fuel use. So, what I simply mean by this is sometimes you want your meat, if you're cooking one whole goat for a family or whatever it is, your guest, you want to be able to save a lot of time and the fuel that you're using. So one of the ways you do that is you first boil the goat and then now you can bring it to cook it in the different ways that you want to cook it. Number two, nutritious, well-flavored stock can be produced when we are boiling. For example, kuku kienyeji, it has very nutritious stock and it is well-flavored. You can use it to boil your rice. You can use it to make your stews very nice. It is labor saving as boiling needs little attention. Poaching. I know this is, it sounds very not because we also don't use it quite a lot. However, um, so let's just get into the introduction of what poaching is. Poaching is the cooking of food in a liquid at just below the boiling point. For most foods, the poaching liquid is heated first. So poaching basically means if the boiling point, your water boiling does not necessarily get to 100 degrees. It gets just below the boiling point, and your food is allowed to simmer and is allowed to cook in gentle heat. Poaching is a slow and gentle method of cooking, so it does very well in eggs and fish. It's most suitable for delicate foods. Yeah, I hope we will be inspired to go and try poaching and see how it works out for us. Okay, on to the next one is steaming. Steaming is another moist heat method of cooking. If you have observed, we've started with the moist cooking method so that we can just go and get into the dry heat cooking method. Food is cooked in the steam produced by a boiling liquid rather than placing the food itself in the boiling liquid. So basically, what happens here is you have a bigger pot or a sufuria or a cooking pot, a bigger cooking pot. It has some water, and then you have another cooking pot inside that. This is what holds the food, so you do not immerse the food in the water. And then with the pressure, and then you close. And here sometimes we just use a bit of heat, or sometimes depending on what is being cooked, but most times the heat that is used is very little, so that the steam, you give it time to cook the food. The steam that is being produced from the water is able to cook the food. It is a very, it's a very interesting way of cooking. However, one of the advantages actually is it retains the nutritional value of the food, because your food does not change color, it just cooks as it is. So it's not tampered with the heat directly per se. You get really good food from it. Another advantage is it makes food lighter and easy to digest because of the way it has been cooked. It has taken time and things like that. Low pressure steaming reduces the risk of overcooking protein. And this is not just for protein, it just reduces the risk of overcooking anything. You can never overcook food while you're steaming it. Yes, so that is what we had for today. We'll continue with the methods of cooking, and uh, request you to keep researching on your work, and we can get into the more methods of cooking, as I had shown you earlier that we have many. But the assignment for this week would be go and try poaching, because it is the one that looks least familiar out of all of them. It is the least familiar one, so I would highly recommend that you go and try out poaching. Otherwise, have a good week. Thank you for showing up for the class.